there, this is Mike and Amanda from Hinman Holistic Health Institute, and we are going to try something, a completely candid interview here, because I think it's important for all of those dads that we work with to see the real side of Mike. I mean, I know perhaps the moms, you can relate to my tips and different things that I'm sharing, but at least for our experience, getting Mike on board with our family kind of as we approached things from a different perspective and learned about how our body works and how to feel our best, Mike's support was the number one game-changing thing looking back. And I'm going to be totally honest. In fact, he doesn't even know what I'm going to ask him. So you're going to get his legitimate, honest reaction to these questions. So you can hopefully relate to some of this. But so babe, if I were to think back like 3 years ago, just describe our lives. I mean, you woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, busted your butt at work. Like, tell us a little bit about what our life was like and what you were doing and why you were doing it then.
Oh, let's see. Me personally, I was waking up at 4:30 Monday through Friday. I was getting on the very first train that went down to Chicago. I'd be in my desk at about 6:15 in the morning, ready for the markets to open up at 7 o'clock a.m. I would trade all day. The good part about my job was the markets closed at about at 3 p.m., 3:15 p.m., 4 for the bond markets and the electronic screen. So I'd be home early enough to actually spend a little time with my wife and my kids after school before they went to bed. So I wasn't one of those fathers that worked late. So that was nice. But that was essentially my day with.
And what did you always have to get on your train ride home in order to be able to deal with the real job of handling his wife and his kids?
Yeah, so on the train ride down, I always had a big cup of coffee. Train ride home, I would always have a 24-ounce beer for the train that they sold at CVS, and I can actually get a 24-ounce PBR for $1.37. It was cheaper than water. And in fact, it got to the point where I would, even on days that I didn't want a beer, I would just walk to CVS because it was habit so much that, and just grab a beer. Next thing you know, I'm sitting on the train with my beer going, wow, how did this even get here? I don't even want this. So I just drink it anyways.
And how did I feel about that when you would come home?
Yeah, you hate alcohol, so you weren't happy.
Yeah, so you definitely had, like, did you have this mindset of like, dude, I'm gonna have to deal with her. I know she's gonna say something, there's gonna be some comments. I mean, be honest, you can tell, like, what was your thought process? What did you think about me? What did you think about handling the kids and just, our life at that time?
Well, I enjoyed coming home to the family, but I always, I'd have at least, if I didn't go out after work to the bar for a beer or two before I hit the train for my beer and then came home and have a drink or two, I would at least come home, I'd usually have one beer after work. It felt right, and then I'd usually have maybe another beer or a glass of wine at dinner. I mean, I wouldn't be up late chugging. In fact, they put the kids to bed at 8 o'clock, and I'd be asleep before they were asleep, to be honest with you. I guess I had a lot of stress at work. When I came home, I wasn't engaged with the family. I would be watching my computer screen, my quotes. You would. All after work, all through dinner, all night even, set alerts. I had people calling me, still working when...
I mean, you'd get up at like 2 in the morning, sometimes 4 in the morning to be trained. Why would you do all of that stuff? Like, what was the reason behind driving yourself crazy with work and watching the markets all the time?
Simple, money. I wanted money. That's why I got into the business, why I got into the game.
And why did you want so much money?
It's a good question. I don't know. I guess there are just a lot of things in this world that I believe that I wanted, and it takes money to buy those things. I guess I have or had expensive taste in things, kind of a snob in that regard, and it takes a lot of money to do the things that I wanted to do, or at least thought I wanted to do at the time.
And would you say that was really fulfilling? Like, at that point, if you look back 3 years ago and you were to say, man, I was like at the pinnacle of my life. I could not have been happier. Everything was going awesome. My health was great, my family was great, my life was great. I felt so like at the top of my game. Would you say, how did you feel at that point?
I think the only reason I didn't say that was because it was a rough time in the market and I wasn't making money. I believe, I mean, at the time, you have to understand, 5 or 6 years ago now, I landed my dream job as a portfolio manager for a large firm, managing, $1 billion. It was, game, set, match for me. That's what I strived my whole professional life trying to get to, and I had it. If we were making money, knocking the ball off the cover, and, my bonus checks were 7, 8 figures, I think I would have said I had everything. At the time, anyways.
At the time, yeah. So do you think, so in other words, you loved the people, the environment that you had at work. You loved the fact that our family was a busy family, go, and you love the connection that you and I had together. We felt like deeply connected as husband and wife and on the same page and in sync with each other.
At the time, I believe I'm not sure I knew any different. Our relationship, looking back, 2020 is too easy. So I'm trying to put myself in my shoes back then. And I think we had a fairly decent relationship, stumbles here and there, but I just thought that's marriage. Work, nobody ever always will love the work. And there were times when I did love work, and there were times when it just wore on me. So, work is work. I never had the mentality that you could enjoy work. I never had the mentality that marriage is 100% rosy, and it isn't, but could be a lot more rosier than I thought it was back then anyways. And kids are just kids. I had a bunch of little girls running around the house.
So basically at that time you're like, well, this is as good as it can get. So, right, things are
I had
pretty
it all.
going.
I had a great wife, great kids, great job, making good money.
So what changed? Like when I keep going back to like 3 years ago. So like what changed in our life? Can you share a little bit about like why things changed for you and what changed?
For me, it was the health issues of our family. So, you were dealing with an autoimmune disease, which I didn't understand it, so I kind of wrote it off anyways. Like, I don't know.
Okay, and to be honest here, tell people what you thought I was. Like, I'd be like, oh, I went to a couple different specialists, and they'd say, oh, you should try being gluten-free. And like, so I got really into like how the way you feed your body can affect the way your body functions. And what was your reaction when I would say that all these things, or when I would talk about like, as a family, maybe we should be eating differently?
Well, I'd always say, oh no, she read another blog today, so now we're on the fad of the day. It's gluten today and it's something else tomorrow. So whatever she read that night, we'd have a new diet the next day. So I'd always make fun of her.
Yeah, you totally made fun of me.
In that regard, yes.
So you totally marginalized the idea that like really how you eat could have a dramatic impact on your health and well-being.
Correct. Even to this day, I'm not sure I agree with like the gluten part of it. I think that is a fad. But for the most part, I did not believe that what you put in your body could have a dramatic effect, not only just on your weight, but on your emotional and mental state, and even more so your physical body. I thought your physical body was more just a function of working out, let alone what you ate. I thought what you put in your body only had to do with weight gain or weight loss.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Okay, so kind of going back to what changed. So you said the health issues, and I interrupted. So I had an autoimmune condition, which you kind of poo-pooed, like whatever, she's psycho, she's thinking we have to do this thing next and then that thing tomorrow. And then what happened after that?
Yeah, so I had a situation where my health took a turn for the worse, and it really scared the hell out of me, and it wasn't just a one-off thing. It happened. I went to the doctor, I went to specialists, I ran every test in the book, nothing could figure out what was wrong, and it wasn't getting any better. It was still persisting in my life. And I remember telling you at one point that I can't live like this. I don't know how anyone could live like this. And I finally understand for the first time in my life why someone would actually take their own lives. And I'm not saying I was suicidal or thought about taking my own life, but I knew this was unacceptable for me for life, and I had to do something. And that's when I ran into my dead end with all Western medicine. And I finally, that was probably 12 months after my incident that I asked you for, like, well, I have no other options. I need something else.
Well, during that time, to kind of elaborate a little bit, like basically you were essentially, for all intents and purposes, the diagnosis was anxiety. Like, oh, you're having anxiety attacks, you know, you just gotta work less, or here's some prescription that you can take to reducing. So you can see how living a life filled with anxiety can be very impactful. And you didn't, like you said, you were like literally not in a happy place because on a daily basis you were feeling bad.
And it was all stress that produced anxiety. That I never knew what anxiety was before that. I didn't believe in stress, and you know, at this point I'm like, if this is anxiety and this is what people talk about they have, I don't know how they live with themselves. So
I would think back of like so many kids now that are having diagnosis of anxiety or even depression. I mean, I can't imagine at a young age starting to have the feelings that you were feeling. And then what was the kind of the third straw that really kind of put our whole family in a spiral?
Well, that was my daughter's seizures. When my daughter started having seizures, it was scariest time of my life, hands down. And you realize during that point, nothing matters but the safety of your daughter. So, yeah, I mean, I would leave work on a button, take a cab home. Whenever she had a seizure, she'd call me, we're going to the hospital, or whatever happened. So I just put life on hold at that point for that, and I was trying to deal with myself. And I remember I was scared. I remember how scared she looked, and then I mean, I knew at that point I had to be the rock of the family, the foundation of the family, and tell everyone it was going to be all right.
And you did.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really a point of you seeing not only yourself was impacted in a way, your life was going in a direction that was not fun and enjoyable, but then when, you know, health situations impacted me and primarily our daughter, it just made you, I feel like you switched. Like you were like, okay, yes, I still have a job. Yes, I still have priorities to like support our family financially and stuff, but it was like all of a sudden you were like, what is most important? And I don't know, like, did you feel like it was a switch for you? Like, explain a little bit more about how you were able to kind of step into that role of being the leader of our family to prioritize health.
I don't want to say I stepped into that role. I mean, I think my journey, I see it a little bit differently than that. I think what ended up happening was I saw what happened to my daughter. Obviously, I was scared out of my mind. I saw what happened, you know, how you were affected, and you were breaking down. Our marriage was breaking down during that time. It was difficult. I mean, I knew I had to, you know, at least, you know, be the foundation to keep everyone going forward. But what really changed my mind, in fact, I remember during that whole time too, you know, you were down the holistic world. I was still not on board yet, and the doctors just wanted to keep feeding their daughter medicine, and you didn't want to go down that route. You wanted to do all natural things, and I kept looking at you saying, I don't care if you do your natural stuff, but I mean, our number one job is to stop these seizures, so let's take the medicine, let's stop it as fast as possible. You can do whatever you want on the side as well. It's not going to hurt. So I finally convinced you of that, and that's the route we took, where you know, she ended up taking God knows how many medicines to finally get under control. But we went down that route, and then where I finally came on board, I mean, there's two types of people in this world, right? There's people who just, you know, I'm the type of person who takes action right away, where I'll sacrifice a small chunk of my life. And in this case, one of the things I really did was I just took like a 2-week period, did a massive cleanse, a detoxification program, in all honesty, where I was as strict as it possibly can be for 2 weeks. Actually, my first cleanse was even before that. It was 4 weeks, believe it or not.
And when you say cleanse, sorry to interrupt, you're talking about like just really being mindful of what you're putting in your body, the way you're eating, so because that's then going to create the way that your body functions.
Correct. I cut out all coffee. I cut out all alcohol. Cut out all sugars unless it was natural, and even that was bare minimum in terms of fruit. Ate only, you know, efficient proteins, soluble fiber, legumes, beans, vegetables, minerals, essential fatty acids, anything your body needed. It's all that went in my body for a week straight. I cut out as much stress as I could out of my life. I worked out as much as possible. I mean, I lived almost an ideal, perfect life for, I guess the first run around was almost 4 weeks. And then, like I said, the first week was awful going through withdrawal symptoms, to be honest with you. I remember I was getting massive headaches. It killed, and I was had flu-like symptoms. I was sweating, and this is from someone who was reasonably healthy to begin with. I mean, with the exception of the anxiety, but from a dieting and exercise standpoint. So the first week was bad, but then the second, third, and fourth week I started seeing real results and realizing I became more in tune with my body, I guess. Started understanding how well I felt at that point, and what I actually put difference in how I lived my lifestyle helped. And so it wasn't only nutrition and exercise. I mean, a lot was the stress management point, healing my body. I focused really hard on the relationships, specifically you and me. I turned to the spiritual side of thing, and for me it was turn to church, turn to God, and so forth. For someone else it could be something different, but I mean, that all helped majorly. So, and that was really the eye awakener for me. And I'm not saying everyone has to do it that way. That's just the way I do it. I mean, a lot of people can't do it that way. You take it one step at a time, slow, and I mean, don't lose focus on what the ultimate goal is. The ultimate goal is to find a sustainable lifestyle, for eternity. And everyone's way of getting there is different. Mine's one way, yours is one way, yours is one way, and so seem to have found something that works right now.
I love that you talk about not only maybe making some different food choices about what you eat. People tend to think that nutrition and diet is the only, I don't even like to use the word diet, but people tend to think like, oh, you're going to put me on a diet and that's the only way I'm going to improve my health. But that, I feel like it was a huge piece for you to switch, and you did it like hardcore. You switched drastically right away. Now, I mean, we eat regular, normal, healthy, real foods all the time, and it's not like you don't think of it as a diet, do you?
No, not now. I mean, now I've been doing it long enough to where I enjoy it. I mean, my taste buds have totally changed. I look forward to my salad every day at lunch. I make a huge salad and I load hummus on it because I love hummus, and it's brightly colored, loaded with everything my body needs. I personally love it, and I'm from Chicago. I used to eat, dipped beefs, cheese fries, a couple double dogs, every chance that I get. Now that stuff I eat it, I know the way I feel now, and I don't enjoy it. So my taste buds have changed dramatically over this time, and I'm not even necessarily, it's my taste buds that have changed, or if I'm just in tune with how I feel good and how I don't. I mean, my alcohol consumptions, I still drink, but I went from 7 days a week to 1 day is a busy week, so.
And what about, like, you talked about how our relationship is different. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of funny, but I feel like literally a couple of my friends have said, like, man, I don't know what's going on with Mike, but he looks really good. And like, he just seems like, I don't know, like happier and healthier. Like, I don't know if you want to comment on that, because it's been, and they're not the only ones. Your friends have commented, like, you, by making this change and kind of, when I say this change, I mean really prioritizing following your own instinct. That's the key. I mean, when you talk about like the food doesn't sit well with you anymore, I think it's because you're more in tune with what your body is naturally telling you it needs and wants for fulfillment, to feel its best. And really from a variety of things, whether it be from a relationship standpoint or from managing your career or your stress or whatever, it's really about listening to your body, because the more in touch with your body you are, the more you're going to thrive and feel well. So like, what are some of the things other people have said or commented or noticed about the changes in your life?
Well, for me, the actual absolute tipping point in my life was when I walked away from my previous job. And I mean, I remember being out at the bar with buddies, just hanging out, or on the golf course or wherever we were. Just like, Mike, I've never seen anyone so happy or jobless, and you're the happiest person. I'm having a great time with you. To like say, what's weird about it. I don't know how to describe it. They just kept saying, I just enjoy being with you. Something's changed. I don't know what it is. I don't know why you're so carefree or happy at this stage in your life when you got so much on your plate. You got 5 mouths to feed at home and you have no money coming in. But I was at that point. I think that was the final tipping point of my stress and my road to recovery. So, from that point on, I was in a better place. And then I focused on, one of the aspects that I focused on was relationships, like I said earlier. And then I focused on giving my wife unconditional love. And I found in return, she gave it back. She gave me respect back, I guess. And started working out good. So I started doing it more and she started giving it more back. And I don't know, we lived happily ever after ever since. I don't know what else to say about it, but it's, we've gone from a place where I used to ditch her every chance that I get, her and the family, to go golfing, to go drinking, to literally go do anything else, one of my vices, and to where now I prefer to spend time with my wife than with the guys. It's a dramatic shift in my life. It's a happy place, so I enjoy it. So I think she enjoys it too.
Yeah, I definitely think, and I think it has a huge impact on. Not only has our daughter completely healed from seizures, but the whole family is more in tune with each other. Wouldn't you say? Like, we're kind of more, more connected. We're not kind of all just like 6 different bodies going in a million directions. We're actually like kind of on the same wavelength and enjoy being together, and it's authentic.
Authentic's a good word, yeah. I'm happier, first of all. You're definitely happier, I know that, and the kids seem much happier with the changes that we've made. I think they feel our energy, and then we've made some changes in their life, which I think was very, very impactful for them as well. So I think the entire family foundation is as strong as it's ever been. So
if you were to say, like, speaking to that dad who's listening right now and is like, yeah, right, like that seems like totally not realistic and not something I'm interested in. What would you say to that person? I don't know, do you have any thoughts about where you were as opposed to where you are, or how you want to continue in the future?
So for me, personally, it took that point in my life where I had that physical and mental challenge, I guess, I don't know what else to call it, for me to actually make a real change. And I'm not sure I would have made the change without that. In fact, I know I wouldn't have, because I thought I actually did have everything. But once I did make the change, I found a whole different world out there, I guess, that I've learned to enjoy now. And it's just the point where I'm at in my life, and it's someone I want. And I didn't have anyone tell me what to do. We figured this out on our own. That's why we're out there today with our 7-step proprietary system, and I encourage you to do the same. You can probably save a lot of time and energy if you just listened to us and believed us, but I don't want it to go down that way. I honestly want you to go out there, do your own homework, do your own research, maybe just do a 2-week trial like I did. Yeah, like I said, the first week is pretty tough, but the second week is you actually see the results. It only takes about a week to start getting the results, and you'll start seeing it, and you can figure out if it's for you or not. That's really what I encourage people, and it's you have to be on board. The first step in our system is to make health and happiness a priority in your life. If you don't make it a priority, you're not gonna take it seriously. And the sad part is if you don't do it, it's the whole family's going to suffer too. So, and that was the case with us. My wife was in the holistic world, eating all this stuff, and the last thing I wanted to do was be like her, because she was crazy. Everyone thought she was crazy. It wasn't reducing her stress. She was even more stressful than anything. Why am I going to go do that and invite more stress into my life? But the key, I guess, to the whole thing was, once I jumped on board, everything changed, and it literally changed overnight. From work to the family to the kids to our sex life to everything. So and change for the better. So
yeah, definitely. So there you have it. That's the real answer from a guy who has changed things around and was the ultimate skeptic. I think I hear you. I mean, if you're in that shoe where you're like, my wife wants me to do what? And spend money on what type of a program to help our family and our children? I don't know. Mike's kind of speaking from the heart about our personal experience, so something to consider.
Yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out at me. You can find my contact information on the website, so be happy to help.